Assalamu alaikum and welcome to another episode of Ankahi TV, the voice of untold stories, unspoken struggles, and unheard change. I am your host, Dr. Asaf Qadeer, and today we are diving into a powerful conversation about women's empowerment, social change, and breaking barriers. Before we begin, let's take a moment to highlight a truly inspiring figure, Roshaneh Zafar, a pioneer in the microfinance and the founder of Kashf, the country's first specialized microfinance institution, which she launched back in 1996. Since then, it has supported over 5 million women across the Pakistan, making them entrepreneurs, helping them start business, support their families, and build independent lives. Her journey is proof that when women are given the tools, they don't just survive, they don't just strive, they lead them in. Today, we are honored to talk about an incredible woman who has been a true pioneer in women economic empowerment in Pakistan. She is not just a development expert, she also is a powerful advocate for social change, using tools like television, drama, education program, and awareness campaigning to challenge stigma around issues like gender roles, domestic violence, and mental health. She received global recognition, but her mission has always remained local to empower women, uplift communities, and reshape how we think about equality and opportunity in Pakistan. Before we dive into conversation, let's take a moment to appreciate the journey and vision of a woman who continues to lead with purpose and impact. You're welcome to the Ankahi channel. I'm glad that you are here in Houston for attending the Hum TV Awards, which you already have won TV award there, and we will talk about that. But before we talk about that award winning and your visit to Houston, I would like to ask you microfinancing and what inspired you to start this foundation?
Thank you so much, Doxa, for inviting me to your channel today. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be in Houston and all the love that we've received since I've been here. So it's been quite a great visit that way. So what made me start the foundation? I'm a development economist by training, and while I was studying in the US, I realized that I didn't want to. I was studying finance and economics, and I realized that wasn't really the field I wanted to be in terms of working either on Wall Street or as an investment banker. And I decided to switch gears and move from pure finance to development economics. And it was in that process that after I finished my degree at Yale University, I went back to Pakistan and worked for the World Bank. While I was there, sometimes you say the stars are aligned or something was meant to be. I had been working at the bank and traveling across Pakistan and talking to a lot of women in low-income communities. And wherever I would go, they would tell me, well, if we had money, we could change our lives. If we had incomes, we could make decisions. So this question always stayed with me. And the stories I heard from the women, the stories of resilience that I came across in spite of the challenges and obstacles they faced. So I drew inspiration from the women that I had met in over the 4 years that I worked at the World Bank. And while I was there, and as I was saying, sometimes things are fated, I met Dr. Yunus of the Grameen Bank. And it was really his mentoring and his guidance which led me to microfinance. I left my job at the World Bank and ended up in Dhaka for several months. I traveled across the length and breadth of Bangladesh. And again, it was the Grameen Appas, the women who were, who were striving and who were trying to change their lives that were my inspiration to come back and set up the organization.
Very well said. I want to ask you why you focus only on women in microfinancing.
Firstly, Ji, if we look at gender equity in Pakistan, women are being left behind. Whether we look at health, whether we look at education, whether we look at women's participation in the labor force, it's the women who are being left behind. That's obviously it's a no-brainer. If a country doesn't invest in its women and girls, it's not investing in 50% of its population, and you'll never progress that way. It's like being in a in a fighting arena, in a boxing arena with one of your hands tied back. So you're never going to win the race. You're never going to win the match. So from that angle, it's a no-brainer investing in women. From the other side, when you do invest in women, the impact, the social dividends you get are far bigger than the money you put in. So, for example, when a woman earns, she saves. When she saves, she invests in the future of her family. When a woman earns, she's more likely to send her children to school. When a woman earns, she's more likely to feed them better. So the social impact of and the role modeling she does. When a woman earns, she is more likely to bring other women with her. So if a woman in a community starts a business, that generates concentric circles of influence, which then encourages other women to also start businesses. So the role of women, just not only in the household, but in the community is another aspect where investing in women, it's a no-brainer. We really need to be investing in women and girls to see real progress.
Well, very well said. I want to ask you, do your foundation and the entrepreneur women that you do, what challenges they face even if you are giving them loans? And does your foundation do something beyond loans for the women of Pakistan?
That's a very good question, Dr. Saab. When I went to Bangladesh and spent time there, my intention was really not to start another organization. I was only 27 years old, and I wasn't confident enough to think that I would ever launch an organization. So I remember Dr. Yunus called me into his office and said, Roshaneh, Bangladesh doesn't need you, Pakistan does. If you ever decide to set up an organization, remember that I'm going to put $10,000 as a loan for you. You take that money and you go and try it. But if you fail, it doesn't matter. Tell the world that it was Dr. Yunus's fault. So I think one of the first challenges that women entrepreneurs in Pakistan face, and now I'm moving from my own experience down to the level of the client. So the first challenge she faces is the lack of self-confidence. Women in our society are only reared to hear no. No, you can't do this. No, you can't go out. No, you can't run a business. No, you can't get loans. No, you're not good enough. So the first challenge that women face is really within themselves. There's low self-esteem. Then there are other challenges: being able to network, being able to go and go to markets, mobility, access to finance, access to loans. Then sometimes they don't even have support from the family, support from the men. So one of the things we realized very early on is that it was important to first look at addressing women's capacity. So we introduced financial education, we introduced business development trainings so that women could be successful entrepreneurs. But then we realized even that wasn't enough because women, the men in the family were not giving them support. So then we introduced gender trainings for men. That wasn't enough, so we started working at the community level and introduced the notion of theater. So in every community that we work in, we run, at one level we have these drama serials that we make. At the other level, at the community level, we run theater. We do a small theater and dramas in the communities, which could be on girls' education, women's economic empowerment. So we started doing that also to educate and create mindset change. Now we do many other projects as well, especially related to health. Because in Pakistan, as you know, population has run away. We have a huge population growth issue. And maternal health is endemically tied to that. As a doctor, you would understand.
Right.
So we introduce health insurance. We have one of the largest health insurance programs in Pakistan. And we also do reproductive health trainings. And now we have telehealth clinics. So, for example, we have about 25 telehealth clinics where we have paramedics on the front end and we have online doctors, all females, so that the women can, access them more easily. And these are the projects that we continue to do in order to ease the path for women entrepreneurs.
Right. Well, continuing on women empowerment and social barriers, how do you deal with the cultural resistance for women to work? Although you explained it, what method you use
Okay.
to overcome the social barriers? This is a big problem.
So, Pakistan, as I was mentioning, has one of the lowest labor force participation rates for women in the formal sector. It's 20%. So, only 20% women work formally. And one needs to understand why is that. So, the first problem, and I'll give you examples from Kashf. Kashf Foundation, my foundation, has 5,500 staff, of whom 50% are women. So, as an institution, you have to help women manage their life cycle needs and their work-life balance. So, for example, in all our branches, in the 500 branches we have, 300 of them have daycare centers. So, women can bring their children to work. That is one of the reasons why then women stay in the workforce. We also, for example, one of the other concerns that prevents women from continuing to work is mobility. It's very hard for women to go from one place to the other. And so, very recently, we did a program where we provide motorbikes to our women staff. We have 350 women at Kashf who actually now come to work on motorbikes and also go to the field on motorbikes. And this is not just in cities like Karachi and Lahore, it's in Peshawar, it's in Jhang, it's in Khanewal. So one of the things one has to do to ensure that women are gainfully employed, they are part of the economy, is the responsibility of the organizations to come up with ways to help the women stay in the workforce. Because women will always have conflicting needs. There'll be reproductive needs, there'll be family requirements, life cycle needs. All of those will compound their ability to run either work or to run a business.
Right. I understand that women rights is a big thing. You have a champion on women rights. I want to ask you how much role men play in the rights of women, in the championing the cause of women in Pakistan.
I wouldn't be here if my father hadn't supported me. There is no question of men championing women's causes. I think I was very lucky. My father never discriminated. My family never discriminated. My parents did not discriminate on the basis of, I have 3 brothers and there's me. So I think without that family support, without that positive role modeling, without that inclusion of the men in this entire process, we are not going to have sustainable change. So for example, in Kashf, the first thing we do is we work with the family. We work with the husband and the wife. We sit with them. We engage. We work with the mother-in-laws. For example, our research told us is when you want to affect or influence decisions on how many children to have, and for example, child spacing. If you want to influence just child spacing between the first and the second, it's the mother-in-law you need to reach out to.
Right.
So our approach has always been to work with society, within families, and to create that collaboration. So collaboration between the genders is extremely important. I'll give you another example. When I started Kashf, my belief was that gender equity and economic empowerment of women is a women's problem. Therefore, when I set up the organization in the first 3 years, we were only hiring women. So Kashf Foundation was an organization run by women for women. So one day I was in a seminar at LUMS and this young man stood up and said to me, you're a champion for women's causes, you're a champion for gender equity, you stand up against discrimination. How come you're not hiring men in your organization? And that struck me as a very important question, because poverty, inequity, marginalization, backwardness, illiteracy, these are everyone's problems.
Right.
They're not just women's problems.
Right.
So I think that I definitely believe that engagement and collaboration is important. And if my father, Mr. Asaf Zafar, had not stood by me, I don't think I would be where I am today.
You have been working for a very long time for the social awareness of the. Can you give us some idea to our viewers? Your work has reached the rural community, and do you see any visible change in the rural communities as of today?
Gee, so we work in different communities. We work in urban, peri-urban, and rural. So we have a combination of all three. So we have a range of contexts that we work in. We also work in, Pakistan is very heterogeneous. We have KPK, which is very different from Central Punjab or Sindh or Southern Punjab. So we have a lot of contexts that we work in. If you look at change, change is starting from economic to social. There are two aspects of it. So when we look at the communities that we work in, there is now, the households that we support. As I was mentioning to you, when the women earn, what our data tells us is that for every 3 years that a woman runs her business, she's able to generate income. Almost 90% of the women who worked with us for more than 3 years are able to increase their income. They're able to increase their savings. They're able to increase, the revenues and sales that they generate from their businesses. They're able to grow their businesses. So from the economic side, from the entrepreneurial side, we see a lot of graduation happening. From the well-being side, which is the side of how well the family's assets are growing, so they're able to build better homes. They're able to invest on the education of their families. So we see that the clients that are running businesses or women that are running businesses or households in which women are actually economically involved, you will see that their children are more likely to be sent to school. So you see that intergenerational transition that's happening. And then there is intra-household change. By that I mean is that often we talk about the issue of domestic violence, of how women are, exposed. A majority of women are exposed to domestic violence. And when we did research, what we discovered was that when women are taking loans from us and they're not relying on just one income in the family, then domestic violence tends to go down because the fundamental is that violence is generated because of financial issues or over financial arguments. That's what our clients tell us. So again, you will see several changes. Relationships change, and then there's a community impact. So that is when women become leaders. They become, they are the influencers. They are the ones that have the voice to raise issues. I'll quote you an example. There was I'll use the example of domestic abuse. There was one of our clients whose husband was abusive. So the women got together one day and they went very politely to the man and said to him that, you'd better, she's part of our community, she's part of our the Kashf community. So you better not, you better be careful and you better watch out and not, be violent towards your wife. So so they went and said that to him, and he didn't listen to them. So then they went back again, and he still didn't listen to them. So then they went to the local, I don't want to call it a jirga, but the local influential person, and told them. So then he intervened. So that's what happens. Women start taking responsibility. They have the agency. Once they're earning, the self-esteem grows as well.
Oh, that's commendable. Let me ask you how you break taboos through your work, and how does this program of the women react to their awareness related to breaking these taboos, and it's a very difficult job to do that. How you overcome that?
So I think the most important thing is you don't take these issues on directly, or you don't give sermons, or you don't tell people. What you do is you use storytelling. So as I was mentioning to you earlier also, when we first started Kashf, we realized that we have to change people's thinking. We have to influence the way they perceive gender relationships, for example. So we designed a theater program. We designed a drama, a small drama of 45 minutes. and we got a tent, we put it up in the community, and I was acting in that too. I'm a terrible
Nice.
actor, by the way. This is way back 30 years ago. And
Right.
so we told the story, and then we stopped and we asked the audience what did they feel about it, and we saw the response was incredible. So when you use stories to change mindsets, and when people can relate to them and yet be distanced, it has a lot of impact. So we continue to use this. So for example, if it was underage marriage of a girl, 30% of marriages in Pakistan today are under the age of 18, and that has a huge impact on the young girl, that little girl's. Basically, you've stolen her childhood. So, and it also has an impact on her physically, on the fertility rate, and she doesn't even go to school then. So you're taking away her education or her future from her. So one of the dramas that we, or the theaters that we do, is on underage marriage. And so what we did in that is, the story is, it's called Meri Gudiya Ki Shadi. And the way it starts is that there's this little girl, 10-year-old girl, talking to her doll. She doesn't know, it's the night before she's being married off the next day to a 40-year-old man. And so she doesn't know she's being married to this man. And she's sitting there talking to her doll and saying, tomorrow you'll get married and you'll go away and I'll miss you. And she has no clue. And so at this point, we stop the play and then we ask the audience, is this the right thing? Who's responsible for this? What would you do in this case? And then somebody will come up and they'll say, oh, well, this shouldn't happen. And it was going to, it's going to happen in my community. So what are we going to do about it? So that praxis of reflection that you give the community an opportunity for is actually how storytelling can break these taboos. And that's why we went into producing drama serials as well.
Very well. Before we go in storytelling and drama and media, I want to talk about a very sensitive subject about the women you empower, because these all women have their children. Have you educated them, the children who are growing up, which are 8, 9, 10, 11 years, what is a good touch or a bad touch and how to address that? And if they report that, what is the support system you have developed to educate how to stop this thing?
Gee, so this is a very child sexual abuse is it's an endemic problem. Mostly we don't want to talk about it, and many if you've heard of the what happened in Kasur,
Right.
the child porn racket that happened, it was terrible. So when that happened, this must have been 2015 or 2014. When that happened, I was, of course, we were all shocked, and I personally felt that this message, this particular issue, needed to be brought to the limelight. So I went to Kasur and we investigated this issue more from the perspective of why was this happening. And one of the key factors that we saw is that parents were not educated about this. They weren't educated about child abuse. There were lots of myths about it, that it only happens with strangers and not with family members, though we know that it's usually people that the child knows that are perpetrators. So a lot of these myths were around that issue. So the first thing we did was, after this, was to develop a drama serial on this, which was Udari. And that we did because we wanted to educate society. We wanted to talk about this issue because everybody said this doesn't happen in Pakistan. This is a Western problem. This is not here. It doesn't happen in our society. And we wanted to also talk about how to educate the child on this in terms of the parents being educated and knowing, and then passing that information on to the children. So I think the show that we did for the first time and brought this topic into society, into the limelight, it actually allowed people to have a conversation around it and to try and understand why this was happening. Then the other thing we did is we worked with schools in Kasur, and we did trainings for teachers on how to identify children at risk, on also how to talk. So what we did for children was we made a puppet show on this. for schools, and we ran this puppet show in schools across Kasur, where we showed them what good touch and bad touch was. Again, not directly, because you have to do this very sensitively.
Sensitively.
So we did it through the puppet shows. We did it through Udari. We did it through trainings of teachers. But of course, this is an ongoing concern, and it doesn't stop.
Do you think drama and storytelling is more powerful than speeches and education? And why you prefer to use this storytelling and drama to give message to the masses?
Uh, Definitely, Dr. Saab, because if you're sermonizing, if you're telling people, people stop listening after the first 1 minute. I don't know how many people who are listening to us now will remember what we've said, but if you see something and you relate to it and it's engaging, you'll remember it. So drama has a huge scope, and I came at it incidentally, in the sense that, of course, we use theater for social change, which was more organic. But I had never thought that I would go into producing drama serials, and it came through a conference that I happened to be at, and somebody was sharing the case study of how telenovelas in Brazil and Mexico had changed mindsets and impacted issues and raised awareness on issues like violence against women or domestic violence. So I was very enthused and excited about this idea, and I came back and I discussed it with a dear friend, Maniza Hashmi Saiba, and she guided me and said, "Yeah, it's a great idea. Let's try and use the stories that we have from the field and dramatize them, and you look at issues." So and we've also gauged, for example, every many of the drama serials that we do, we then go and do surveys to see whether people's attitudes around those issues have changed or not, whether knowledge and the understanding of these issues has changed, and whether we've broken the myths around these issues. So I think definitely storytelling is so very powerful, and media has a lot of power as well, a lot of power in terms of influencing how people think and what they feel.
I understand that award brings a lot of recognition, and this recognition through the media makes your voice and what you want to say great, especially your visit here. How do you feel winning an award on the Hum Awards in Houston, Texas?
Gee, pehle to I must say that being part of this awards, I was so happy to see the soft power of the media, the branding, the rebranding of Pakistan in that sense, the changing the narrative. I mean, changing the narrative of the country. And I think hats off to Hum TV for doing that, for bringing this out. And then, of course, the enthusiasm and the love and the affiliation that I saw of Pakistanis in Houston towards their country. And I think that is something I had not experienced before. So, other than getting the award, this was also exposure for me to see how much affinity Pakistanis in Houston have for their country, and how much they feel for their country. For as far as winning the award is concerned, definitely, Ji, the feeling that I had, the afterglow that's still there. But I must tell you that we our reward is when the content that we put out there is appreciated by our audiences, and it is able to open a discussion on these issues and lead to change. So we don't do this to get awards, but when you get the awards as well, it's very exciting, and it also tells you something else. When we first started making, we call this edutainment, educational entertainment. So when we first started this, many people said that our audiences are not ready for this kind of serious content. You won't get the eyeballs, you won't get the rating. But we've had, this is my second time at Hum Awards. My first time was when Udari swept all the awards in 2017. And today, I was here for the second time in 2025. And Zarpatto Kaban, both of these were issue focused,
Right.
cause focused
Right.
drama serials.
Right.
and they got the award. So I think this is a message to all producers that we should add cause to our content in order to change mindsets. At the same time, I would put in a word of caution
Right.
that it has to be sensitively done and not sensationalized.
Very well said. In a long journey of your pursuit, there are many high points. Would you comment on which is the most proud moment you have had in long journey?
Many proud moments. See, starting from the first loan, the first client who ran her business and did it successfully, to when I was personally awarded the Tamgha Imtiaz for the work that I had done in Pakistan by the government. So recognition in your own country is, gives you quite a high. And then, of course, the fact that as an organization, our model is a sustainable model. We call it social entrepreneurship. Because if you're wanting to impact on poverty, it's not just one loan that is going to change the lives of women or change the benchmark of poverty or the level of poverty for the household. It's continuous access to capital, like any business. I mean, why do we assume that low income households don't need financial products, different financial products? Why do we assume that low income households don't require constant capital to grow their businesses, or they don't need insurance, or they don't need savings? In fact, like any other household, like any other business, they require different financial services. So one of the my one of the first challenges that we had set ourselves up was that we will focus on women entrepreneurs. We will provide. We were the first microfinance organization in the country, but we had to make it sustainable to demonstrate the business case for investing in women entrepreneurship. So in 2003, we were the first organization to become sustainable and to be able to generate our own income and then be able to continue working. So that's why, since the past 30 years, we've been able to serve over 8 million women entrepreneurs. And currently, we have 1 million active clients, all women across Pakistan. So I think that high of being able to demonstrate that women matter to society, women are active participants, can be active participants in the economy, was another very important high for me and continues to be. And then, of course, all the awards we've received for our drama
Right.
serials, for other work, and for leading and paving the way for other organizations and to do the same.
What would you give advice to the young girls who want to embark to a change in their life?
I think the first thing is believe in yourselves, and the second is be true to yourselves. I think those were the two lessons that I've always held close to my heart. The belief, people always laugh and they say Roshaneh is one person who doesn't take no for an answer. So, my thing is there is always a solution for a problem. You can always find it. And you may not find it the first time, but don't be discouraged. And I think to young people these days, it's also I would also, this is something I learned and have always practiced, is the need to be disciplined. Things can't be these days. Everybody wants everything very fast, because that's how social media, that's how we sit and we order something and we expect it to be delivered in 3 days or more, or 24 hours for that matter. So everything is instant gratification oriented, but life is not like that. You have to have patience, you have to have discipline, you have to work hard. And so these are also lessons that I learned. But I think authenticity, being true to yourself, believing in yourself, that's where it all starts.
That's very well said. Let me ask you your personal thinking. That what do you think, in your view, you want the women of Pakistan 10 years from now?
What do I want them to be? I think first and
Your
foremost,
vision for the empowering all these things. Your vision for women from 10 years from now,
I
in
think
2035.
I would say that we should have no girl out of school. That would be my vision. We should be able to bring down our maternal mortality rate. We should enhance our labor force participation rate for women. And microfinance should have grown, and every woman who wants a loan to start a business should have that accessible, as it's happened in Bangladesh. So what I'm saying is, are the all the things that Bangladesh was able to achieve. It was able to cut back its fertility rate. It was able to send all its its girls and boys, children, to school by establishing schools, and they were able to provide microfinance across the board to all the communities and to women. And as a result, if you look at the macro results of Bangladesh, they're much better than Pakistan's.
Well, I am very curious to ask you, how do you remain motivated after being in doing this service for such a long time?
It's the women who motivate me. If you come with, if I was to take you to the field today, Dr. Saab, in Pakistan, and to meet my clients, they are the motivation. They're inspirational, and they're such amazing women who, in spite of the challenges, continue to succeed. So they are my inspiration.
You know, we in Houston have opened a Jinnah library under Qaid-e-Azam Foundation USA. And we have the largest collection of books on Qaid-e-Azam, over 300 books under one roof. I serve as the chairman, and the president of Qaid-e-Azam Foundation is Tahir Bhatti. Tahir Bhatti's wife is a close relation of yours. And one of the things is that we admire music, and a legendary woman who is your grandmother, Malka Pukhraj. And your father has been in the government. He has served at the highest level and one of the most respected lawyer. And you have been a part of a society who has touched all part of society. And now, coming from such a good family with such a background, how do you develop your heart to work for the empowerment of women? This is a commendable thing. Most people don't do it. What do you have to say on that?
I think the two people you mentioned are the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. My
I see.
father, who ensured that we were grounded, and that who created this patriotic mindset for all of us. So when I came to America to study, I always knew I was to go back to Pakistan. I had to give back to my country. That's what my father taught me. And he also taught me to be fair and objective. So all the values. So if you're talking, you just mentioned Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah. His leadership was about values. He was a value-driven leader, and that's exactly what I gathered from my father and my family. And on the other hand, my grandmother, she was an empowered woman, so she was my role model. I had very strong female role models in my family. So both of these combined, my father's values and the fact that he made sure that we always knew that our country took priority over everything else for us. And we had to go back to give back to that country that had created us. And I don't for one second, if I had to do this again, and if somebody said to me, oh, you could have lived in the US and worked for the World Bank or what have you, I would still in a heartbeat make the same decision that I did.
I want to tell you, many, many years ago, Dr. Arifullah invited your grandmother, Malka Pukhraj, and your mother's sister, Tara Sayyed, to a dinner at their home. And after the dinner, your grandmother and Tara Sayyed, they both sang together. The whole family were there, and we enjoyed that evening with them. And that legendary voice still resounds. And we didn't know that Tahir Bhatti would be instrument bringing you here for an interview. We really enjoyed it. And the camaraderie, me and Tahir and the Qaid-e-Azam Foundation, we worked together for the legacy of Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah. And we often talk about Pakistaniyat and Pakistaniyat. And what I describe Pakistaniyat is that when we all provinces get together and talk about our Pakistani stand for our identity, which is Pakistani. And when we see a woman of your stature for the empowerment of women, making the women feel that they are equal to men in every way, then there is no other way one to salute you for the tremendous work you are doing. I'm
Thank you.
really appreciative because of the legendary work. But I want to curious to ask you, such a musical family, have you ever embarked of going into music in singing
Uh,
or in that very field?
Gee, definitely. When I was in school, I learned from my grandmother, and I've also recorded a few songs. But
I
then I
see.
went on to college to study, and that for music, you have to dedicate your whole life. I don't think you can just get up one day and start singing. So I did definitely learn, and then over the past almost decade, I started re-engaging with music, and some of the original soundtracks of the drama serials that we did, I actually sang those songs.
I would request you to give some last words for the women who are in United States of America, who are from Pakistani descent. What is your message for them?
Never give up on your dreams.
Never give up. If you have dreams, you will achieve it.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for joining us today, ladies and gentlemen. We have witnessed a woman who is made of steel, who's championed the cause of women, empowering the women, making sure that the wages are given to men, the women, if they do the equal work, they should be paid the same work. This is a very uphill work, and I salute you for the work you are doing. And we men should cooperate and coordinate with you in enhancing this microfinancing, women empowerment, and social justice. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you.